Coming up in this edition of Media McKnight, the executive producer of A Current Affair pays the price while others remain protected. Why the media is so keen to see Snoop Dogg axed from the AFL Grand Final, and it's got nothing to do with moral values. Protecting Australia radio stations from big tech, how the government can help. Big changes to Saturday Night Live as a major cast shake-up is announced, and there are plenty of other stories to discuss. Welcome to episode 7 of Media McKnight. Hello, I'm Rob McKnight. With over 30 years' experience in the media, this is Media McKnight. When news broke that A Current Affairs executive producer Amy McCarthy had quit her role after a few cheeky Facebook posts, I couldn't help but shake my head. This wasn't a scandal, it was a storm in a teacup. Yet Nine chose to treat it as if she'd committed high treason. In fact, the title of Karen Perry's article said it all. Nine's A Current Affair chief steps aside after Logie's witch hunt. And Nathaniel Cooper from the Daily Telegraph seemed to agree. During this year's Logie Awards, McCarthy posted on her private Facebook page that she could finally get drunk, joking to friends, "You thought you'd been spammed before? Stand by." Later, she shared a snap of Jimmy Barnes with the playful caption, "Deserves a spot on the grid, hashtag would still do him." Now, those comments were perhaps a little ill-advised, given her senior role, but hardly the stuff of a major scandal. Still, the posts were screenshotted and circulated within Nine, triggering outrage. Soon after, McCarthy was called in by Nine's head of news and current affairs, Fiona Deer. She took leave and ultimately resigned from ACA. Now, she hasn't been sacked entirely, but her new role back in the newsroom as a senior producer was a clear demotion. Here's the thing. This punishment was utterly disproportionate. In an industry where far worse conduct has been overlooked, McCarthy was made a scapegoat for a network desperate to look like it's cracking down on cultural problems. An insider even suggested, imagine if a male news boss had made comments like that. It's totally inappropriate. That might be true, but the person who leaked this to Steve Jackson at The Australian is part of the cancer that still exists within Nine. People who have been there forever think they know best and are determined to bring down anyone who rises above them, male or female. Make no mistake, there is an old guard that still exists within Nine. While they might not be the headline makers accused of inappropriate behaviour, for years they have leaked against the network for their own agenda. I saw this personally back in 2009, when Peter Overton took over as the main anchor of 9 News Sydney. Big changes were being made to the bulletin then, in terms of content and presentation style, and this did not sit well with some. They leaked to the media about bad figures, unrest in the newsroom, but suddenly went quiet when the changes started working. Well, I say they went quiet. Despite 7 News becoming the dominant number 1 in Sydney after decades of success for Nine, when 9 News started winning again, these people claimed it was all cyclical and nothing to do with the changes. And these idiots are still there today, causing the same trouble for anyone who dares to think differently, for anyone who dares to try and evolve, something television desperately needs to do to survive. And that's the problem for news boss Fiona Deer. These same people are still leaking against her and the network. Whether it's because they've been passed over for promotion or out of personal vendetta, I don't know. But they would like nothing more than to see her brought down, and any excuse will do. So when it comes to the handling of this situation, it was a no-win for Deer, someone I like very much. While I personally believe the punishment for McCarthy did not fit the crime, the old guard will be whispering that Nine and Deer didn't go far enough. Yes, there have been major cultural problems at Nine that need stamping out, but sometimes the pendulum swings too far the other way. What's especially galling about this is the fact that there are people at Nine who have been disciplined for bad behaviour over the years, but are still employed in other areas. That old adage is still true. It's not what you know, it's who you know. The AFL's choice to book Snoop Dogg as the grand final entertainment is being dragged through a PR nightmare. And make no mistake, the media are gleefully feeding the frenzy. Ever since the announcement, outlets have been actively digging up controversial statements the rapper has made recently and over the years. Snoop didn't help the AFL last week when he made these comments on the It's Giving podcast.
I took my grandson to see, what was the movie with Buzz Light?
Toy Story?
Not that one, but
the new Buzz. The Lightyear. I think it's called Lightyear.
Yeah, with Keke Palmer's in that movie.
Okay.
She plays like the daughter. So we watching it, and the lady, which is Kiki's mama, they move on into the space years. They move down the line. They're like, man, she had a baby with a woman. Well, my grandson in the middle of the movie like, Papa Snoop, how she have a baby with a woman? She a woman. Oh, shit. I didn't come in for this shit. I just came to watch the goddamn movie. Hey, man, watch the movie. They just said she had a baby. They both women's. How did she have a baby? Shh. The movie ain't over with. So it's like, I'm scared to go to the movies now. Like, y'all throwing me in the middle of shit that I don't have an answer for.
What'd you tell them?
Watch the movie. Eat this popcorn. Shh.
You said, we don't know.
It threw me for a loop. I'm like, what part of the movie was this? These are kids that we have to show that at this age, like
that part.
They're going to ask questions.
Yeah.
They are going to ask. I don't have the answer.
Yeah.
Now, that comment sparked a wave of backlash, with critics accusing him of homophobia. But he's a singer providing entertainment, so do his views matter? He's not being employed for his views. The AFL has made a commercial decision to get the biggest name they can for the budget they have. But let's be clear about something. This sensationalism isn't about ethical standards, it's about clickbait. The media isn't outraged over inclusion or equality, they're just riding the outrage wave for more clicks. Brendan Favola reports the AFL will drop Snoop just to put the story to bed. It won't work. It will lead to more stories. Then the media will demand answers on who made the decision to hire him in the first place, and they'll want that person fired. The media will get what it wants, a story that keeps going and driving clicks. And the AFL looks like it's falling for it. When we sit at home in the comfort of our living rooms watching the nightly news, we don't often think about the people risking their lives to report it. This week, we've had a stark reminder of how dangerous the profession can be, with the death of 5 journalists in an Israeli strike that killed at least 20 people. The strikes happened on Monday, hitting the Nasser hospital in southern Gaza. The second strike came just 15 minutes after the first, just as journalists and rescue workers gathered at the scene. The United Nations, alongside leaders from the UK, France and other nations, condemned the attack. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres demanded an impartial investigation. In response, Israeli authorities expressed regret over the tragic mishap and said they would investigate. They asserted that journalists were not intended targets. Either way, next time you're accusing the media of fake news, remember, these people go to places most of us wouldn't dare to bring us stories that would otherwise go unreported. The radio industry is pushing back hard against a future where Aussie radio stations may vanish from our cars, dashboards and smart speaker menus. Commercial Radio and Audio, that's the CRA, led by CEO Lizzie Young, is calling for urgent legislation to ensure easy access to local radio across all modern digital platforms, especially connected and electric vehicle consoles along with smart speakers. Now, you might remember free-to-air TV secured placement mandates on smart TVs under prominence legislation, and now radio wants the same protection. With roughly 15 million Australians tuning into commercial stations weekly and over 7 million to the ABC radio, the industry remains robust in reach, but listeners are struggling to locate their familiar stations in increasingly complex digital dashboards. CRA warns that losing in-car prominence isn't just an inconvenience, it's a threat to revenue, local jobs and public safety during emergencies. Lizzie Young emphasises radio's uniquely loyal residents. We are 100% Australian owned and operated. It's now time for radio to remain easily accessible for all Australians. And she's right. When big tech comes to Australia with no regard for local players, we have to be careful about losing local culture and employment opportunities. Making it easy to find local stations isn't a big ask. It simply gives consumers a choice. No one is asking for apps like Spotify to be banned. So this proposal makes sense to me. The executive producer of the ABC's Question Everything has lamented the cancellation of the show, warning that Australian shows and ideas are an endangered species. Speaking to Mumbrella, Nick Murray told the publication, "The ABC has been wonderful in supporting locally developed and produced programs like Gruen and Question Everything." He went on to say Australian shows and ideas are an endangered species now, so we appreciate the support of the ABC for our original Australian programs. Now, while I wasn't a viewer of the show, I tried it at the start but didn't like it, Murray is right to be fearful about the future for comedy programs in this country. Australian TV once sparked with innovation, showcasing bold local dramas, inventive comedy and boundary-pushing storytelling. Now it often feels more like a rerun cycle of safe, internationally franchised formats. With declining revenues, executives have smaller budgets and are being forced to play it safe in terms of program commissions. They simply can't afford to take risks. That's led to a TV landscape that might have a few hits, but is mostly filled with heritage brands that continue to slowly decline in terms of viewing numbers. It's a sad truth, and it's only going to get worse, I'm afraid. Okay, now for a quick look at some news items from around the world of media. Netflix has pulled off a major recruitment coup, with Amanda Duthie confirmed as the streamer's new content director for Australia and New Zealand. The move sees Duthie depart local streamer Stan, where she has been pivotal in commissioning and shaping local originals. Catherine Slattery also joins Netflix as content manager, Australia and New Zealand. ABC Defence correspondent Andrew Green has resigned from the public broadcaster after serious allegations were raised by the ABC's very own Media Watch program. The program examined a trip Green undertook to Germany that wasn't disclosed to ABC management while he was reporting on the shipyards of a German defence contractor. The Australian reports Nine Entertainment is considering a surprise play for Southern Cross Austereo, the largest radio broadcaster in Australia. The outlet says top-level talks have been held between senior executives from both Nine and SEA in recent weeks. Big changes begin at Saturday Night Live, with cast member Devon Walker announcing his exit after 3 seasons. Just last week, executive producer Lorne Michaels told Puck News he would announce the cast of season 51 this week, promising a significant shake-up. Okay, that brings us to the end of this edition of Media McKnight. I'll be back next Tuesday at 9 p.m. with more insights at youtube.com/@McKnightTonight. On Monday, Wednesday and Thursday, you can go to the same location for my Hot Topic show, McKnight Tonight. It's a different take on the news of the day. The interview with Reggie from Big Brother I did last night is worth a watch if you're a fan of the franchise. Like, seriously, she was fantastic. All right, I'm Rob McKnight. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you again very soon. Cheers.